Hi everybody and welcome to the Money Boy, Money Man and Shakes Rampedi. We've got Shakes in the house. Shakes an expert on all things soccer. He's just come out of counseling, a big Pirates fan, no, Chiefs fan, and his wife, his partner, his wife, girlfriend. Now what is she, girlfriend or wife, Shakes?
She's my girlfriend.
Girlfriend. She's
putting you under pressure from the beginning.
Shakes has been in therapy now for 3 days, 4 days, 3 days since the Chiefs blew the PSL. But we'll chat about that another time. Well, we wanted to chat. We brought Shakes in. He's going to represent the Generation Y. Millennial. Ollie is Money Boy is the worst of the worst, the Generation Zoom, and I'm the old-fashioned Generation X. And we're going to have a competition called the XYZ of betting, where we see who finishes it with the most money at the end of 6 months. These two lads, Shakes and Ollie, get 13 grand in their account, a little bit of a handicap for them, and I get 10 grand, and we see who's going to finish with the most money at the end of 10 months.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about the handicap. I'd be happy to work with a little bit more.
Well, you know, I should be odds-on favorite, but who knows?
We'll see.
I mean, I know nothing about PSL. Shakes knows it all.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to need the handicap, of course, and it will give me a little bit of a boost to sort of try work on clearing it up. But I am feeling a lot better since the Chiefs lost the league.
Did you have any bets on that one?
Did you have any punts on them to win the PSL, Shakes?
Strangely enough, I actually did have I didn't have a punt on the Chiefs to win the league, but what I did predict on the final day was Kaizer Chiefs was going to draw and Sundowns was going to beat Black Leopards, and it actually came out that way.
Yo, what were the odds on that?
Yeah, the odds were kind of crazy. So for Sundowns, it was at 1.44. And then at Chiefs to draw with Baroka, that was sitting at 3.83. So, yeah, decent amount, right?
Yeah.
That's a good amount.
Solid multi-bet.
That's, I probably would have, I have this habit when I'm following one of my teams, I always bet on the opposite team in hopes that I'll lose the bet. It sounds a bit strange, but I figure that if my team wins, then they win and I celebrate. And if the other team win, then I get a bit of consolation money.
I'll definitely try out that strategy for next season with the Chiefs.
Well, today I wanted to chat to you guys about the upcoming Premier League season, which kicks off on Saturday, with the exception of the two Manchester teams that have got an extended week off because of their involvement with the European football. And Shakes, my loyalties lie with Leeds United, so they're not going to challenge for the title this year. They'll be lucky to stay up.
How do you know?
Let's just say I have a crystal ball. And Ollie, you are a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
And Shakes, you're an Arsenal fan.
Yes, I am. I'm an Arsenal fan. There's been some ups and downs, but I think with Arteta coming into Arsenal, there might be a lot of ups that are coming. From already what he's done, tactically he looks really well. The players are playing for him. He won the FA Cup last season, won the Community Shield this season, and I think they might be the dark horse in terms of finishing top four.
And what's the chat with Aubameyang though? Because he still hasn't confirmed. So.
Yeah, so Aubameyang hasn't signed his contract as yet. But there were talks of it being confident, and then eventually it sort of died down. But now when you look at the way he's celebrating with the team in terms of winning the Community Shield and the FA Cup, you're sort of thinking, surely this must be done. So at some point, Arsenal need to announce it. They're taking its time with it. I don't think they would want it to drag on because obviously the fans want answers as well. And if Arsenal are going to challenge for top four, they need their captain to at least decide where his future is going to be. But I'm very confident he'll be staying at Arsenal.
Sure. Is he in the last year of a contract?
Yes, he is currently in his last year. This is the current last year. So at the end of the season, his contract expires if he doesn't sign a new one. But they're trying to tie him to a further 2 more years with an option for a third one. And he's been scoring the goals. He scored the most goals in all competitions since he arrived in the Premier League, of all the Premier League strikers that are there. So he's very crucial. If you take Aubameyang out of that team, that's almost like taking out salt out of the meat. So there's nothing there.
Great way to put it.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. So let's talk the team that's invested the most money so far in the transfer window, which is Chelsea, who put in close to 200 million in the transfer market.
I mean, Eden Hazard's basically paying for their whole 2021 side still. So,
I mean, surely when you, sorry.
I'm saying that's technically it. I'm agreeing with what Moneyboy had to say in terms of the Eden Hazard money is actually contributing to that. The money's contributing to that, and now Frank Lampard is spending all this money that they had because they obviously had the transfer ban last season, and now they are going guns blazing. They got Timo Werner. Timo Werner is a very good player from Red Bull Leipzig. They got Hakim Ziyech from Ajax. He's also a wonder kid. So they're spending quite a lot. Sarr is coming, Malang Sarr, but he's on loan, so he'll be going back on loan to his club. And I think they're also trying to sign a goalkeeper as well from Rennes.
Well, they have to. That's their weak point. That is the elephant in the room with them, isn't it? Their goalkeeping.
But
that's the very key thing. You're right, because the way that Chelsea are bolstering, they're bolstering mostly up front, and where they're going to be scoring a lot of goals. But if people saw last season, Chelsea were also conceding a lot of goals. Never mind just scoring a lot of goals. And obviously, if you look at what Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool were like years ago, they were conceding a lot of goals and scoring a lot of goals, but they were not winning anything. So the pressure's on Lampard. I think they brought in also Thiago Silva as experience to be at the back. But I'm thinking he should finish top 4 with the squad that he has. He should finish top 4.
Don't you think, though, the aspirations of the club and the fans and the owners spending £200 million is certainly more than top 4? I mean, when you're spending that sort of money, I get the feeling that their aspirations are a little higher than top 4, and maybe they're thinking of winning it. Though I have questions as to whether Lampard's pedigree as a manager, and I think that, to me, they could be the surprise team of the year for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I mean, they're 10 to 1. No, I mean, they for all the signings and all the money they've spent, they're still 10 to 1, to actually win the league, which is heavily sort of undervalued compared to, your other kind of top 4 prospects.
I think the odds rate them that way because Manchester City and Liverpool have sort of the experience. They've competed at this level of finishing in the top 2 for like the last 3 seasons. So for Chelsea to just come in, it's sort of going to take them some time for them to get there. But personally, in my own personal view, I think with the squad that he has, he should be challenging for the league. But people would say it is a little bit unfair to expect that of him so soon. But you mentioned that they've spent close to 200 million. So I think him having to finish the top 4, the best thing Frank Lampard can hope for is at least close the gap on Liverpool and as well as City. So it shouldn't be 30 points. Let it be 12 points. And then the following season, let it be you go finish above them.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Shakes. The thing that concerns me most about Chelsea is that they built this sort of circle the logger mentality amongst their youth squad last year, developing youth players, and certainly enough of them have come through to warrant selection and are good enough. And now you've gone out and spent £200 million to bring in all these people. Where this youth going to go? They're going to go out on loan. They're changing the culture radically in that club for me. And that may be problematic.
That's very true because people would say Frank Lampard was probably forced to play the youth last season, and unfortunately for him, some of them did shine. Mason Mount played really well. Tomori came on and played really well. Reece James came on and also did the business as well. But now they're spending so much money and getting all these experienced players. It's almost as if I think the board is saying, okay, these young players are good, but they're not good enough to win us the league yet. So let's try to get in players who are ready. Like Timo Werner is a ready player. Tammy Abrahams is not is not ready to lead the line for a whole season. And I think he showed it in the past season. So Timo Werner coming in, for example, is someone who's playing for Germany frequently, someone who was carrying Red Bull Leipzig in the Champions League and as well as the Bundesliga. So I'm thinking some of the players are going to go out on loan. And I think it's also Abramovich just saying, he wants silverware. He doesn't just want, yes, we competed well in this youth that's coming in. He also wants silverware as well.
How do you think the nature of the Premier League sort of plays a difference though when you look at, I think like 4 of their 6 kind of big name signings haven't played in the Premier League before, you know, and there's a big thing attached to actually playing in the Prem as opposed to any other league. What sort of effect do you think that'll have?
Yeah, no, it's going to have a massive effect because we've seen players who've come from other countries and came to the Premier League and did not really light it up. And then we've also had players who've come in and they've sort of adapted well. But I think the signings that they've made, I think it makes sense from a quality aspect because the players that they had already are just also having Willian gone. Willian has left Chelsea and he's moved to Arsenal. So they had to fill up that side on the right. And that's what Ziyech comes in and does, for example. And these players that they've brought in have already had experience fighting for top 4 in Bundesliga or Ajax having to go into the later stages of the Champions League. So they're sort of ready for the big stage per se. But I think them coming in, they should be able to gel well. But obviously, question is still over the fact that can Frank Lampard do it? Because it's Frank Lampard, and
managing personalities that are superstars is a bit different to managing academy players.
Exactly so. And he's going to have to get it right. And I think also with Lampard, it's the time is right now. The time is right now for you to show everybody that you belong in that bracket, that you're not a Derby County manager, that you're not a championship manager, I think the time has come to like show which bracket do you belong in the top tier of the Premier League and battle amongst the best.
Is he a chosen one too, or is he a Derby manager?
It's interesting because I've seen a lot of times in the past season where they've conceded goals, and even if you look at some of the losses that they've had, they had a lot of losses at home against Bournemouth, against West Ham. They lost twice against West Ham, and there were times where I watched Chelsea and I just thought, tactically, I don't know if he has it yet because it's almost as if you're relying on good players to show up instead of sometimes tweaking something and making sure you get the win. And I think he lost more than Arsenal, by the way, and Arsenal finished 8th. You know, yes, he finished in the top 4, great, but he lost a lot of games. That people can't take that away from, you know. So I think tactically he still needs to work on it. Is he a top tier manager in the Premier League yet? No. He's definitely not that.
No, I'd have to agree with you. Let's move on. Let's move on to Man United, who finished 3rd, I believe, last year.
Loving the empty stadiums.
Have they done enough? Have they done enough to challenge for the title this year? I see that. What are they? They're 15-1.
Yeah.
15-1. Yeah, no, I don't think they're ready as yet to challenge for the title. I think if you watch Manchester United, they have a great starting 11. And then after the starting 11, there's not much quality after that. And that kind of showed when they were starting to tire out and getting exhausted. And the replacements that they had, they couldn't perform to the same level as the starting players were performing at. The Bruno Fernandes, the Marcus Rashford, the Anthony Martial. So they don't have too many sub players. And unfortunately, even the business that they're doing in the transfer market is a little bit too late. They got Donny van de Beek, which adds depth. He's also a versatile player. He can play in the defensive midfield position, in the CM, and as well as behind the striker. But it's going to be very hard to fit him and Pogba and Bruno Fernandes as the 3 in the middle. So I don't know how they're going to utilize him. But that squad needs more. It needs more. If that front three is not firing, you think who's next after Martial or Rashford? Is it Lingard? You know, so it's kind of weird. I don't think they're ready yet to challenge for the league. They need more quality.
And I think you could see that last year that Solskjaer was very hesitant to take any of his players off. He'd play them into the 80th minute. and showed that he didn't really have much faith in the people on the bench that he could bring on.
You gotta laugh at the Man United fans though, because it's like, regardless whether they win or not, it's like they deserve to be winning in their heads, and there was so much hype around that sort of streak last season when they actually won nothing in the end, and it was the last few games played in empty stadiums post-COVID.
Yeah, but I think though, I think that getting to third in the league was quite an accomplishment for them last year. I mean, to qualify for the Champions League, but then it plays into what Shakes saying is, if you look at this what COVID has done for soccer, we're starting a couple of weeks later now, and the games are going to come every day. I think Tottenham may be faced with playing 9 games in 20 days. So I mean, it's just crazy what's going to happen. So going back to a team like Chelsea that's made these acquisitions, it may well suit them the best. Looking at how congested the games come and who can navigate that congestion the best, it may be a team like a Chelsea that has depth in squad.
Yeah, and has youngsters to fall back on should anything happen injury-wise. It's like we were saying about Liverpool earlier. If anything happened to their sort of front three, like they want to put Ryan Brewster out on loan, but it's like if anything's to happen to that front three, who comes in then?
Exactly. It's almost a similar thing. But the thing is with Liverpool's front three, you feel like they're durable. They hardly get injured, and they can go for long. Whereas Manchester United's one, there was a time when Marcus Rashford was out for months, and luckily for him, the COVID period happened and it allowed him time to recover. But I just think the team is lacking a little bit of depth and a little bit of more quality on the bench. You look at Manchester City, for example, if, let's say, Riyad Mahrez is not turning it on, then you bring on Bernardo Silva. If for some reason Aguero is injured, you bring on Gabriel Jesus. He's not, I wouldn't say Gabriel Jesus is the optimum, but he's a very good replacement for a lot of teams. So as for Manchester United, they're doing their business pretty late. I don't think they're ready for top 4, but I do think Ollie must finish top 4 to keep his job.